Hi everyone, my name is Andrew, and today I will be discussing the overconsumption of social media. So, the article I chose is an article by Derek Thompson, who is an author for The Atlantic. It's called Social Media is Attention Alcohol. It was published pretty recently, back on September 17th of this year. His main point is he compares the psychological effects of social media to alcohol use, and specifically the overuse of social media to alcoholism. And of course, social media has its pros and cons, but can become unhealthy in large doses. He also points out avid usage can grow into an unhealthy addiction that is akin to a mildly addictive depressant. So, there are two main studies that he brings up in his article. The first one is a study done by Wall Street Journal on Instagram, and they found that 32% of teenage girls feel worse about themselves and their bodies after using Instagram. And on top of that, they feel addicted and claim that they know this is bad for their mental health. The second study is a digital addiction study conducted by NYU, Stanford, and Microsoft, and they found that self-control problems caused 31% of social media use, meaning roughly 1/3 of the time you spent on social media was unintended, and I find that to be the case with me a lot of the times. Like, I'll open up Twitter and I'll just think that I'm scrolling for like 5 minutes, and it ends up being 10 to 15, and I feel I wasted a lot of time that I could have been using to do anything else. And so, his main arguments. The first, of course, he's comparing social media and alcohol as if they are one and the same and can be treated as such. Pretty much, social media offers this intoxicating level of dopamine. When you're opening Instagram and you're scrolling and you're just clicking like after like, it just creates this release of dopamine in your brain that just keeps you wanting more, and you stay on the platform. And he also argues that online presence is best in moderation, and I completely agree with that. He also compares social media to other types of addictions like sugar, and he believes it can be controlled in a similar manner to alcohol, which I will discuss soon. So my assigned ethological mindset is one of a deontologist, aka duty ethics. And so Thompson here wants to learn from alcohol, which is studied, labeled, taxed, and restricted. He desires more in-app tools to discourage overuse and wants harsh restrictions on age policy. And for that last point, I would definitely agree. With most, social media platforms like TikTok, Instagram, what have you, I believe you only have to be like 13 years old to create an account. In which, of course, if you go on any of those platforms, there are clearly people there who are under the age of 13. I could even argue making it the age to be 18 to use these apps, similar to how alcohol is treated, to where in like certain countries like Europe and Canada and what have you. So Thompson's means of control here sound pretty opposite from what we've discussed for duty ethics, where he desires a set of rules or reform efforts like how alcohol is treated. And so here, not much freedom of choice or freedom of will can be found. And looking at this image here called the drunkard's progress, it serves as a good parallel between alcoholism and social media use, to where you reach this tipping point where you're feeling euphoric, either with drinking or just on Instagram and your social media use, to where you reach past that tipping point and you feel awful, you feel sickly, you just don't feel great. And that can be applied to both alcohol and social media. So, in contrast to deontology is the utilitarian stance, which where my second article comes in, social media and mental health. This was written by Lawrence Robinson and Melinda Smith. They take on this utilitarianism mindset where they seek to balance the good and bad outcomes. And with that, they use the utility principle, where they kind of see the pleasure, happiness, and compare it to the pain caused. And so with that, they compare the positive and negative aspects of social media. The positive of such being, you can communicate with friends and family around the world. You can join, promote worthwhile causes, and you can use it as an outlet for creativity and self-expression. On the other end, there are the negative aspects, where you feel inadequate about your social life and experiences. You have this creation of FOMO, fear of missing out, which can lead to isolation, depression, anxiety, and there are other instances of like cyberbullying and self-absorption. So what they propose, like Thompson, is social media is best in moderation. They argue it's best to reduce your time online, and you can maybe use an app to track how much time you spend, or disable your social media notifications. All these apps are designed to keep you engaged, to keep you on there as long as possible. They're not worried about your mental well-being. They just care about ad revenue and seeing how long they can keep you on their platform. Another way is to change your focus, where you can pretty much kind of contemplate to yourself why you're going online. Is it boredom? Are you trying to catch up with a friend? Find some information? If it's the first and you're bored, they argue it's best to try and shift your focus onto, say, whatever you're procrastinating on or something like that. And they also say, try and just disconnect, spend more time offline and connect with friends. So, in summary, you can take this ethical dilemma of social media and take either the deontological stance or the utilitarian stance, where with the deontologist, you have a set of moral rules, honor codes, that are focused more on the individual and universal rights, and they would more or less oppose regulation of social media. Whereas utilitarian would weigh the pros and cons while being aimed at maximizing the well-being of society using this utility principle. So yeah, I personally would stick with the utilitarian aspect and, weigh the pros and cons and seek regulation with that. And so, here are my discussion questions. I believe I'm blocking them, but I will post it in the comments below. Thank you so much for listening.